On July 2, 2023, a case that caught widespread attention unfolded at a hotel in Sapporo, Japan. The 62-year-old male victim was found dressing in women's clothing in the hotel bathroom, but the head was missing. Upon investigation, it was revealed that the perpetrators were a family of 3. The missing part had been kept at their home for over 20 days, and when discovered by authorities, it had already undergone noticeable changes. The exact reason behind this extreme act remains unclear. Sapporo's climate in July is typically pleasant, making it an ideal time for tourists. But on July 2nd, a shocking incident occurred at a hotel in Sapporo. That day, the hotel staff noticed that a guest who had checked into room 202 on July 1st had not checked out as scheduled. Unable to reach the guest, the staff decided to forcibly open the door. Upon entering, they found the room in perfect order, with no signs of disturbance to the bed or bedding. However, when they opened the bathroom door, they discovered a male body. What was even more shocking was that the head was missing, and there were visible signs of injury around the neck. Faced with this grim scene, the staff immediately called the police, who quickly arrived and conducted a thorough investigation of the premises. The police discovered there were no signs of struggle on the victim's body. They speculated the victim was likely caught off guard and killed, and the body showing signs of post-mortem handling. Additionally, police found a noticeable appendectomy scar on the victim's lower right abdomen, but no items such as identification, phone, or clothing were found at the scene. As a result, the police could not identify the victim solely based on the appendectomy scar. What made matters more complicated was the absence of any fingerprints at the scene, other than those of the victim. Based on these clues, the police concluded this was a premeditated and well-planned crime. The immediate priority in the investigation was to establish the victim's identity. Therefore, the police decided to start by investigating the guests who had checked into room 202 that evening. Through inquiries with hotel staff, the police learned, around 11 p.m. on July 1st, 2 female guests had checked into room 202. About 3 hours later, the front desk received a call, where a guest informed them she was leaving early, and the voice sounded like a woman. The 2 guests then left the hotel one after the other. Since it's common for guests to leave in this manner at a couple's hotel, staff did not suspect anything unusual at the time. The police then reviewed the hotel and nearby surveillance footage. In the footage, the petite woman, who had originally entered the hotel in a white dress with another female, was seen changing into black clothes the next morning, and was seen alone dragging a suitcase on the streets of Sapporo. However, the police were confused, as the 2 women entered the hotel, yet the victim was a man. It was clear the victim had checked into the hotel dressed as a woman, which provided the police with a new lead. The police suspected the perpetrator was likely also cross-dressed, and even though the person leaving the hotel appeared petite, they could not be certain she was female. Moreover, human bones are relatively sturdy, and it would be extremely difficult for a single woman to handle such a task on her own. Additionally, the autopsy results showed the victim's cause of death was related to blood loss, and the head was most likely dealt with after death. Therefore, it seems unlikely that a single woman could carry out such a process on her own. For a while, the police were stuck. The case was at a standstill, with no clue about the victim's identity, and no leads on the perpetrator. Just when things were looking hopeless, a missing persons report gave them a break. The couple's hotel, to protect their guests' privacy, doesn't typically log personal details. The victim's DNA didn't match anything in the system. For a while, the police couldn't figure out who he was. That is, until 2 days later, when a police station 30 kilometers outside Sapporo received a report of a missing person. The police immediately compared the missing person's description with medical records and confirmed the missing person's name as Pu Renzhi. They also found out Pu Renzhi was the same man found dead at the hotel. He was 62 years old, just an ordinary worker from Hokkaido, with 2 grown children and a wife. He also had a mother with dementia, and his life had been tough. The police interviewed Pu Renzhi's coworkers and neighbors, who described him as a quiet, straightforward guy. He was humble, reserved, and it was hard to connect him to the victim who was found dressed as a woman. But as they pieced the evidence together, looking into his spending habits and movements, the police discovered some surprising things about Pu Renzhi. He was into cross-dressing, often wearing makeup and women's clothes for social events. He was well known in certain circles in Japan, where people called him Jijiang, meaning craftsman. Pu Renzhi's wife told police that he left home on July 1st, but never came back. It turns out, he had dressed as a woman again, driven 30 kilometers to Sapporo, and gone to a disco party. Later that evening, he and a small person, who appeared to be a woman, walked into the hotel. What happened next was shocking. The Japanese police quickly set up a task force, and after weeks of intense searching, they finally identified the suspect. At the suspect's home, they found some of Pu Renzhi's missing belongings. Though the police haven't disclosed all the details, it was soon clear from the investigation that Pu Renzhi's head, when found in the suspect's bathroom, was badly decomposed, making it impossible to recognize any features. Eventually, the police identified the head using dental records. Once the suspect was arrested, the case gained widespread media attention. What shocked both the police and the public was that the suspect wasn't alone, but part of a whole family involved. On July 24, 2023, Hokkaido police arrested the father and daughter, Tamura Osamu and Tamura Ryuna. The following day, the mother, Tamura Hiroko, was arrested as well, charged with corpse abandonment. Why did this family take such extreme measures and hide the head, allowing it to decompose in secret? Normally, a family like this would have a rather unusual lifestyle, but according to those who knew them, the Tamura family appeared to be very close-knit. The father, Tamura Osamu, was a kind, reliable man who once formed a band during his college years and later became a doctor. With strong emergency response skills and professional expertise, he had become a well-known head of psychiatry in his community. He dedicated much of his career to addressing workplace stress and mental health issues, and was highly regarded by his colleagues as a capable and responsible doctor. His wife, Tamura Hiroko, was an artistic soul, with a love for painting and an interest in insects and flowers. Every New Year, she'd send handmade greeting cards to her neighbors. In her youth, she worked at an art gallery, and even appeared in a few films. On her husband's social media, he often shared her artwork. They certainly seemed like a loving and happy couple. If there was anything unusual about the family, it was their daughter, Tamura Ryuna. This became the key element of the case. Neighbors described Ryuna as a very private person, rarely interacting with anyone around her. There were also rumors that Ryuna might have had a condition similar to multiple personality disorder, which caused her to skip school frequently. Her parents were very indulgent with her, never scolding her even when she made mistakes. Because Ryuna liked drawing comics, her parents even sent her to an art school during high school for a while. Classmates recalled that Ryuna was usually quiet, but if something made her uncomfortable, even a small joke among friends could trigger an extreme reaction, and sometimes she would even lash out. It was clear that she had been very sheltered at home. After her arrest, Ryuna insisted she wasn't the killer, and that it was another personality inside her that was responsible. So, what exactly led Ryuna to take such drastic action against 62-year-old Pu Renzhi? Ryuna's mother, Hiroko, said during her arrest that Ryuna had gotten into an argument with Pu Renzhi, and there was a serious falling out between them. Ryuna's grandfather also testified, explaining that Pu Renzhi had approached Ryuna while dressed as a woman, and persuaded her to come to a hotel. Once they were at the hotel, things between Ryuna and Pu Renzhi took a troubling turn. Since May 2023, Ryuna, who had always kept to herself, decided to step out of her comfort zone. When she started socializing, she met Pu Renzhi. He was very good at cross-dressing, which made Ryuna let her guard down. After they checked into the hotel, Ryuna later discovered that Pu Renzhi was actually a man, but by then, it was too late. Something uncomfortable happened between them. It turns out, this wasn't the first time Pu Renzhi had been involved in similar situations. People close to him revealed that while Pu Renzhi enjoyed dressing as a woman, he was still interested in real women. He had even bragged about an affair with a woman who was 30 years older than him. Others mentioned that, at social gatherings, Pu Renzhi would use his cross-dressing skills to approach women while posing as one himself. Once they let their guard down, he would start making them uncomfortable, like touching drunk women, asking for kisses, or persistently bothering them. Pu Renzhi often used excuses like, "I missed the last train, let's find somewhere to stay," to convince women to go to hotels, where things would escalate. Investigations revealed Pu Renzhi had caused disturbances at certain hotels in the red light district, and had even been banned from entering that area. What Pu Renzhi didn't expect was that he thought Ryuna would be like other girls, keeping quiet after the incident. However, Ryuna chose not to suffer in silence. Given Ryuna's already fragile mental state, the situation only pushed her further into emotional collapse. Unable to cope, she confided in her parents about what had happened. Ryuna's parents were deeply concerned, considering that if they reported the incident, Ryuna would likely be questioned repeatedly by the police, forcing her to relive the experience, which could worsen her mental distress. As a result, the Tamura couple decided to confront Pu Renzhi directly, demanding that he stop contacting Ryuna. But, even though Pu Renzhi promised not to show up again, he presented a video he had secretly recorded, threatening Ryuna into silence. Faced with such a dangerous individual, the Tamura family fell into panic once more. With no other options, they decided that instead of living in fear of Pu Renzhi's threats, they would take matters into their own hands. They made a plan, prepared to take extreme measures to solve the problem. As per the plan, Ryuna arranged to meet Pu Renzhi, and then, her father Osamu and Ryuna went to a store together, buying the necessary tools. Around 11 p.m. on July 1st, Ryuna and Pu Renzhi entered the hotel, and she attacked him in the bathroom. Afterward, they disposed of the evidence, changed their clothes, put on wide-brimmed hats, and took the suitcase with the head out of the hotel. Osamu was waiting nearby, and drove Ryuna back home. Because Ryuna wore gloves during the act, no fingerprints were left behind. She also carefully disposed of anything that could identify her, delaying the police's identification of the victim. Her meticulous planning and execution were highly efficient, which is deeply unsettling. Hiroko, her mother, was also involved in planning the act, and she knew the head was being kept in the bathroom at their home. After the incident, the family kept quiet, and did their best to maintain a normal life. Osamu even shared daily posts on social media, as if nothing had happened. The neighbors didn't notice anything unusual at the time, but upon reflection, they realized some things were a bit off. For example, Osamu sometimes entered the house through the car, and there were scattered items around the house that hadn't been cleaned. But at the time, no one connected these small details to the bigger secret lurking behind them. When the truth of the case came to light, the public opinion, which initially sympathized with the victim and condemned the perpetrator, quickly changed. Most people online started feeling sympathy for the Tamura family. Some believed Pu Renzhi got what he deserved. After all, Ryuna managed to get him to the hotel, which suggested that Pu Renzhi's intentions weren't exactly innocent. So, they felt that his revenge wasn't entirely unjust. People started to understand why the Tamura family acted the way they did. But this also sends a message: revenge might feel satisfying for a moment, but it doesn't bring real peace. Those emotional reactions, instead of helping us move on, could make things worse, and lead to consequences we didn't foresee. Parents play a huge role in shaping their kids. Their support and guidance have a direct impact on their kids' emotional and mental health. Teaching kids the right values, and helping them deal with setbacks, can build healthy emotional coping skills, and stop them from going down extreme paths when facing challenges. As of now, no media outlets have reported the court's decision in this case. However, experts say, even though the Tamura family's actions were shocking, the court might take the circumstances into account, which could lead to a lighter sentence for the parents, while Ryuna might face time in prison for murder. Even though revenge may give you short-term relief, the extremes of this path and its consequences really make you think. The lesson here is that, when guiding children, parents need to prioritize their kids' mental health, teaching them to handle life's challenges in a rational way, so they don't cause more harm to themselves or others in the long run. Feel free to share your thoughts on this case in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.